Hello, my name is Jacob Wilson, and this is my ACE project grant application for my proposed project, The Ashes of Billy McAllister, by myself and Connor Adolph. This is Connor, and this is my Uncle Billy. As far as I am aware, they have nothing in common other than myself. The project that I'm proposing is a road movie which utilizes spontaneity to allow for instinctive discussions about the topics of masculinity, disability, mental health, gender, and sex between Connor and myself. Connor is a neuroscientist/philosopher studying currently at Sussex University, doing papers on holistic neuroscience, and I am an artist filmmaker currently studying at Brighton University, doing moving image and artist film. The film will take place on the motorways and country roads between Brighton and the Northern Irish castle of Kinbane, which will primarily be shot within the confines of Connor's disability-accessible motor vehicle, a Skoda Octavia hatchback, that has been provided for him by the government-run Motability Scheme. The narrative of The Ashes of Billy McAllister is relatively simple. Connor and I will travel from Brighton town to Kinbane Castle in Country Atrium, Northern Ireland, where we will spread the ashes of my late Uncle Billy, whose family lineage ties him to the Kinbane Castle, which he never had the chance to visit during his lifetime. Discussions, as I've mentioned before, will be about topics of masculinity, disability, mental health, gender, and sex, which are incredibly crucial to the development of personality that Connor and I have. Connor has the affliction of cerebral palsy, and so has a lot of interesting and otherworldly experiences that people of able body like myself do not have. And so this film provides me and him the opportunity to create a representation of a type of person that has not yet been represented in image, which perhaps could be incredibly beneficial to a community of people who lack good, decent, positive representation.
Like, we were very sexual, and like in like very like explorative ways. Like we did lots of different things, like tried lots, and there was no like norm to it, right?
Yeah.
So like if we were trying like bondage, there was no like masculine, feminine roles to it. Like we would just do
just
like whatever.
Trying to experiment with it, yeah.
And so I think that's like such a free exploration of just what is, rather than
could be
like all those norms, which like, I don't think I have had since.
Which has obviously definitely sort of infiltrated itself into the way that you think just about everything now.
Yeah, definitely. Like my understanding of my body now is like well more fucked than it was like during that time.
Is this where the interest in non-binary has come into it?
Well, that was always something like, if you'd have asked me when I was like 18, I'd be like, yeah, gender's nonsense, like I'm not a man.
Yeah.
And I think it's very much when I stopped benzos that I was like, okay, I need to face things in my life. And like the first thing for me was disability. Like almost that everything else fell
it's like
to the side,
term.
right?
Yeah,
nothing else mattered other than being like, I'm disabled. Like, what does that mean? Like, how do I understand that in myself?
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like I did all this exploration without thinking about it. And then when that broke down and I stopped doing the drugs that kind of enabled it most freely, like I was like back to, does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It sort of breaks down all the barriers, allows you to think more.
Yeah, but then like when that relationship came down, like it all came back up again.
But did they come back up because you tried to re-establish them as some sort of security network, or did you?
Well, I think
did they come back?
Right? Like I was cheated on, like after 4 years.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of mad. And like she was suicidal. Like the amount of times I was there when she had tried to kill herself.
Yeah, Jesus.
At like 15, like 16, right? Like it's mad.
And you were trying to clean your life up.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so you would put some sort of the more.
But like I was at Warwick Uni, and every weekend, like Thursday night, I would drive down.
Yeah.
And Monday morning, I'd drive back up. Like I was there every weekend. But like during that time, she was cheating on me with the person she lived with. And like I had no idea. So like it proper destroyed me for like months. As it would.
Yeah.
And I slept with bare people. Like first person I dated after her was a sex worker.
Oh, really?
Like, worked in a sex dungeon in Coventry.
How do you meet these people?
I don't know, man. But that was an interesting one. But yeah, it's weird. I kind of wish I could reclaim that freedom.
Yeah, which is that where the interest in psychedelics came?
Well, psychedelics are what kind of started me getting clean.
Yeah.
Like, I went from benzos and then started tripping, and it was less like I said the other day, like, it's less like Eddie Trauma got healed and more I was like fascinated.
Yeah. It's more academic.
Yeah, I went from being like just purely hedonistic to like actually interested in things.
You're like, wow, the mind can do this.
But the more you think, the more you think about other things as well, right? Like,
and they're all definitely connected in some subconscious way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that she.
Oh, it is okay. Years ago, but then like my last girlfriend cheated on me too. Like, it's kind of like those real things.
My last girlfriend cheated on me, so maybe that's why we're sat in this car right now.
Yeah, fill with us, fill with the back of our heads.
Two sad boys.
But it's surreal, right? Like, this is kind of the thing I get. Like, I don't know how I ever was that free when my relationship to my body before that point was completely dissociated, completely medical, like visceral. But I think this is a big part of like why I have these visceral dreams and like why visceral images are so big to me. Like, people have come in, they've like chiseled bone from my hip, they've like opened my leg up and like sliced my tendons and like slid them, like I've just had like all this mad shit that I know in detail, like all this medical way, like.
But you have no recollection.
Yeah, but like my body was such a, like, I used to do this thing, like they dress you in like almost like a motion capture suit, and you're there in like maybe a lab, and there's like loads of cameras around, and you get changed behind a curtain, and then there's like maybe like 8 doctors, and they just watch you walk up and down for hours, and like they've got a computer that like measures your gait, and you're just like shown as like this skeleton walking on a screen. Like, it's fucking surreal, man. It's so surreal and not human.
No, definitely not.
As mentioned before, the entirety of the film will be filmed within the confines of Connor's disability accessible motor vehicle. The decision to have the film shot at an angle which does not allow for a full view of my face or Connor's face has a lot to do with how we wanted the image of, or the imagery of the piece to reflect the context of the piece. What I mean by that is that a lot of the things we are discussing, we want to unhinder with the objectivity that these are mine and Connor's experiences, despite the fact that they are very personal. More or less to the fact that we want to point out that a lot of people go through a lot of different experiences, and at the end of the day, it is our humanity that is more important than the images of ourselves and what those images come to represent. We are inherently the histories that we have experienced, and not the images in which have appeared from those things. As a contextual acknowledgement for the aesthetics, the piece can be best understood as a development upon the podcast medium. A lot of podcasts have now moved into using YouTube and so on, into visual. However, not a lot of them have understood how to apply the context of the image and the power of the image to the messages that they are producing in the recordings of their discussions. And so this piece could be best described as a piece utilizing the imagery available to the specific experimental theatre medium and utilizing that to adhere to and develop upon the context and the messages that Connor and I are discussing about the context of disability, gender, sex, masculinity, and so on. The route and schedule. We will be travelling from Brighton to Motor Stratford, then from Motor Stratford to Burton-on-Trent, where we will be taking a break to allow Connor to be able to rest up, as he is the only one driving for the 12 hours that is the estimated journey from Brighton to Kinbane. Then from Burton, we are going to the port at a place that I can't say the name of. And then from Lane Port, which is in Ireland or Northern Ireland, we're going to Kinbane Castle, where we will spread the ashes of my late Uncle Billy. For the exhibition of the piece, post-production, the desired exhibition would be a travelling show that would stop off at cinemas along the route in which Connor and I had taken from Brighton to Kinbane. And primarily we would like to be holding a Q&A session with the communities of Brighton, the communities of Liverpool, and the communities of Northern Ireland, as they are quite fundamental to the way that the narrative will develop. Now, we may not be staying long in Brighton, we may not be passing through Liverpool, and we certainly are not going through the entirety of Northern Ireland. However, these are incredibly integral geographical locations to the narrative, as they relate incredibly to myself, to Connor, and my Uncle Billy. After the cinema screenings are over, the entirety of the film and all the additional footage, which will be the Q&As held online or on Instagram or on social medias, that will be recorded, along with the recordings of the Q&As held at the cinemas. All of that will be going online alongside the footage of the film, so that the entirety of the piece is continuously accessible to a range of people. And of course, there will be captionings for the hard of hearing and for the deaf. Our audiences are people from disabled backgrounds, young men, those who all work with people with mental illness, British and Irish people with strong historical ties to their respective countries, people who are interested in fine art, film, people with somewhat of an intellectual background, whether that be a college course degree or just an interest in academic thought process, and people who are interested in creating community artifacts that raise the standards of living for a specific type of person, or just for most people. At the end of the day, we want to connect with as many people as possible so we can elevate the society that we are surrounded by, so that everybody can feel as though the whole world is accessible to them. The financing, primarily, it comes to a budget of $14,506. Everything included is your camera equipment hire, the van hire, the paying of the production team, which there are, I believe, 5 of us. There is the caterings, the paying for the ferry. There's of course, the contingency for in case so on and so on happens. Ultimately, most of the finances are completely regulated and are completely structured, and there is very little room to maneuver. We do believe that 15 grand is exactly the amount that we will need, and I do not believe there will be more or less necessary. Thank you very much for coming to my proposal, my presentation. I hope that you will consider the Ashes of Billy McAllister for the ACE 15 grand. Thank you.